Through the monarch's sight, Aristine sees a vision. One thing's clear. The king will die soon. No doubt about it. Panicked, she rushes back to Tarkan. Meanwhile, Tarkan is lost in thought, wondering if he went too far by getting physically close to her earlier. But all that overthinking flies out the window when he sees Aristine walk in. She looks pale, shaking like a leaf. The king isn't just any ruler. He's a master of political chess, always juggling power, balancing noble factions by taking from one and giving to another. Tarkan got Aristine as a bride. Umir got the crystal mines. The nobles might grumble, but none dare to openly rebel. Tarkan lays it out. If the king suddenly dies, the queen's side benefits the most. They'll be the first to push Hamel onto the throne. But even Duke Skila, the queen's top ally, wouldn't risk the chaos. He's got too much to lose, and honestly, not enough guts to try something that wild. Tarkan, looking confused, asks why Aristine, with that pale face, suddenly brought up who would benefit if the king died. Aristine can't say it's because of her vision, so she brushes it off, pretending she just thought of a spicy political thriller plot. Still, Aristine's deep in her head, checking off theories one by one. No outsider interference. So who would have the biggest motive? Tarkan sees the storm brewing in her brain. Gently, he takes her hand, then pulls her into a hug, as if saying, "You don't have to do this alone." Aristine freezes for a second. She remembers she told him she wouldn't keep walls between them, and Tarkan had told her how much it hurt when she did. Now, she wonders if she just hurt him again by keeping things to herself. Leaning against his chest, Aristine prepares to ask something heavy, just in case she can't stop what's coming. In her vision, a soldier had said poison was found among her things, so carefully she asks, "Would you still trust me if I was accused of killing the king?" Tarkan's eyes widen for a second, but his answer is instant. Yes. Even if there's evidence, he says he wouldn't believe it. He knows her. She wouldn't do that. Even in the vision, when everyone turned on her, Tarkan was the only one still standing beside her. Aristine suddenly feels the weight lift. His trust has always been her armor. She's done it before, changed the future. She can do it again. She's not alone anymore. She has an idea, but she'll need Tarkan's help. Before coming to Irugo, the Emperor of Sylvanus handed her poison, told her to either drink it herself or make Tarkan drink it when given the signal. She took it. But in her heart, she promised she wouldn't die on his terms. Not knowing what would happen in Irugo, she hid the poison somewhere only she could find. The next day, she sits by the pond in the king's garden. The vision still haunts her. If she really does get framed for the king's death, that poison could be the planted evidence. But how? No one else even knew it existed. Still, the vision said evidence was found, which means someone must have searched her room. But who? She stares into the water, waiting for another monarch sight to trigger. Instead, a reflection appears. Rue. He shows up out of nowhere, saying he was worried. She hasn't come to the garden in a while, and now here she is, zoning out alone by the pond. Aristine sighs. Her mind's spinning, and Rue can tell. Then Rue reaches out and plays with her hair. She immediately slaps his hand away and reminds him she's married. He'll get in serious trouble if he keeps that up. Rue just looks defeated. He says other women like it when he does that, but not her. Aristine almost rolls her eyes, until he mentions that his dad's the one who taught him that. Then he circles back. He's honestly hurt she's been keeping her distance. It feels like he's the only one who cares about their friendship. He even wonders if he's too obsessed. Aristine, who's never had a real friend before, doesn't know if obsessed is normal between friends. Rue explains it is. The closer you are, the more you care. Simple. The way he says it so confidently makes her wonder, is that how friendship works? She even remembers seeing kids in the monarch's sight who fought just to win each other over. Rue then gives her this sad little look, saying maybe she just doesn't think of him as a close friend. That maybe, because of their family history, she's always going to see him as someone from the enemy side. Aristine tries to stop him from spiraling. She grabs his robe, but he keeps talking like he's the only one who thought they were actually close. She grabs his sleeve tighter, telling him she just has too much on her mind. It's not that she doesn't care. Rue finally looks at her, really looks. And when their eyes meet, Aristine finally says it. She likes him too. Not in that way, of course. It's just, he's her very first friend. That's all Rue needed to hear. He smiles like he's been waiting for that all along. But just when things get a little too cozy, a voice cuts in. "Who do you like?" Aristine freezes. Her hand is still holding onto Rue's arm as she slowly turns around. Standing there, with the sharpest glare and the most jealous aura, Tarkan, and he's not hiding his feelings at all. As soon as Tarkan arrives, he doesn't waste a second. He storms over and pulls Aristine into his arms like it's his instinct. His sharp gaze basically screams at Umir. "She's mine." The air gets tense as Tarkan demands an explanation, but Umir, clearly unfazed, just decides to roll with it. He bows politely and greets Tarkan with a cool, "Your Highness." The sudden politeness throws Tarkan off for a second. Before the tension can climb any higher, Aristine quickly steps in. She casually introduces her friend Rue to Tarkan and does the same the other way around. Umir plays along without missing a beat, continuing his act as Rue. But Tarkan's not buying it. The way Rue talks so properly is ticking him off, and it's obvious he doesn't like it one bit. Aristine is a little taken aback. Tarkan's giving off the same energy he shows when he's dealing with the queen. It's intense. She gently tries to calm him down, reminding him that she sees Rue as a friend. That only seems to shock Tarkan more. Umir stays calm and apologizes, saying they just ran into each other again today. But of course, he can't resist throwing a jab. With a cheeky smirk, he mentions how Tarkan trying to control who his wife talks to doesn't look too great. Tarkan is instantly ticked off, and Aristine is left stunned at how Rue can handle that intense stare from Tarkan like it's nothing. And just like that, the two men launch into a full-on verbal sparring match. Aristine's stuck between them, not even trying to get a word in. She listens helplessly as their bickering gets more and more ridiculous. Honestly, it doesn't even sound like they're enemies. Their back and forth feels oddly familiar, almost like two people who know each other well. Then something else grabs Aristine's attention. The fountain nearby begins to shimmer. That's the sign. Her monarch's sight is about to activate. She quickly slips out of Tarkan's arms and bolts toward the water, telling the two men to keep chatting and that she'll be back. Both Tarkan and Umir can only stare as she runs off without another word. The king's death inches closer each day. Aristine already asked Tarkan to tighten palace security and investigate any rebellious factions, but those are just safety nets. If she doesn't find out who the poisoner is, she won't be able to stop what's coming. Tarkan watches Aristine from afar, wondering why she's so focused on the fountain. Umir, on the other hand, suddenly bursts into laughter. He's laughing so hard he nearly cries. He says Aristine is truly one of a kind. One moment she's zoning out, the next she looks like she's having a genius breakthrough. Tarkan glares at him and finally snaps, calling him out for dropping the act. He demands to know what Umir is scheming, especially since Aristine calls him Rue so casually. Umir just shrugs. According to him, Aristine only knows him as Rue, not as First Prince Umir. That alone floors Tarkan. He's even more shocked when Umir admits Aristine genuinely didn't recognize him. And then, as if that wasn't enough, Umir even gives Tarkan permission to call him Rue too, at least when Aristine's around. Tarkan accuses him of planning to betray her, warning that Aristine isn't someone easily fooled. Umir insists that their friendship happened by pure chance, and anyway, he knows today will probably be the last time they ever speak like that. He watches Aristine from afar and wonders what she'll do when she finds out who he really is. Will she be shocked? Hurt? Either way, Rue, the friend she thought she knew, will be gone. He tells Tarkan that he never approached her as Prince Umir or as an enemy. Maybe it reminded him of when he was younger. And honestly, he liked being her friend. He even bowed his head to Tarkan, something the queen would absolutely explode over if she found out. Tarkan can't help but wonder, if this was just a trick, why use the name Rue of all things? That was Hamir's childhood nickname, a name he swore off long ago. No one's called him that in years. He remembers when they were kids. Hamir once gave Tarkan a royal sword that had been gifted to him by the king. It was for Hamir's birthday. Back then, Hamir had overheard the queen plotting something awful, and in a panic, he told Tarkan to take the sword and sell it, to use the money to protect himself from the monsters he'd soon be facing. The sword had Rue's name engraved on it, so of course it couldn't be sold. But that's how desperate Hamir was. Tarkan had nothing and needed any help he could get, but Hamir, he had no power to stop his own mother. Back then, Tarkan saw him as weak and pitiful, someone who always bent to other people's will. Now, Tarkan looks at him again. That naive sincerity is long gone. What's left is a snake in sheep's clothing, a smooth talker hiding his manipulative nature behind a carefree act. Tarkan sighs. He says he'll let it slide. Just this once. Hamir's surprised, but Tarkan makes it clear. It's not forgiveness. He's letting Aristine see the truth herself. And he warns Hamir again. Aristine isn't someone he can mess with. Meanwhile, Aristine is completely focused on the fountain. Her monarch's sight shows golden chrysanthemums floating in the water. She remembers her maid mentioning those flowers. They're the centerpiece of the upcoming banquet, chosen for their lovely scent. Then the vision shifts. She sees elegant tableware neatly arranged and several familiar faces from the royal family. Judging by their appearance and the length of their hair, this must be the very start of the banquet, the day the king is fated to die. Aristine doesn't want to miss a thing. She focuses hard on the monarch's sight, every detail from the attendants setting the table to the queen casually talking about how nice it is to have the whole family gathered. The king, meanwhile, doesn't look too well, but as Aristine observes, his condition doesn't seem bad enough to die just hours later. Then she suddenly flinches. It's her own expression that catches her off guard. It's not like she looks suspicious about poison or anything. No, her face is furious. That expression shakes her a bit. She tries to figure out what she's looking at in the vision, but since it's not her own POV, she can't see what caught her attention, and that frustrates her. She hates not having full control over her monarch's sight. The vision continues. The king is laughing and raising his wine glass, tossing a compliment to Hamir. Of course, it's a banquet to celebrate Hamir's return. The queen joins in, smiling as she talks about how the family feels more lively with a new daughter-in-law. Then she casually suggests Hamir should get married too. That catches Aristine off guard. She hadn't expected that. Sure, the queen often dangled the title of Hamir's future wife like a carrot to manipulate noble families, but she never confirmed anything. That vagueness kept lots of noble daughters clinging to hope. Aristine had always assumed the queen would keep that up forever. But now, she's seriously bringing up Hamir's marriage? Even the king looks at her with a raised brow. Like, what are you plotting now? A moment later, when the king sets down his utensils without eating, Aristine asks if the food doesn't suit his taste, since he hasn't taken a single bite. Paelamin looks visibly concerned and suggests calling the royal physician. But the king just waves it off. Then suddenly, he clutches his chest. His face turns pale. The queen immediately gets up, reaching out to him. But before she can even touch him, the king collapses. He falls off his chair, groaning in pain. Panic spreads like wildfire. Yenneker gasps, wondering if it's poison. Tarkan quickly asks someone to check the food. And then, just like that, the monarch's sight ends. Aristine looks stunned, desperate, like she wants to scream. It just cuts off right there. Then a voice calls her name, snapping her out of her thoughts. Only now does she realize how long she's been zoning out. She left Tarkan and Rue standing behind her this whole time, just staring at the water, like some weirdo. She bites her lip. She knows how this looks, but she didn't have a choice. The memory of Sylvanus flashes through her mind. People used to mock her for talking to water. Back then, she didn't care. But now, these two, they matter. She can't stand the idea of them thinking she's strange. Her name is called again. They're closer now, Tarquin and Rue, both looking concerned. She mutters that she's fine, but her pale face says otherwise. They don't buy it. Tarquin frowns. Rue crosses his arms. And then they start bickering. Rue defends himself, saying he's just worried about her as a friend. He accuses Tarquin of being delusional with jealousy. Aristine groans inwardly. Can they not? Then both men at the exact same time offer their hands. Rue wants to escort her to the smithy. Tarquin wants her to go back and finish eating with him. She stares at their hands for a second. Husband or friend? She sighs and makes her choice. She reaches out toward Tarquin. Tarquin smirks at Rue, like that's right. Rue forces a smile, clearly trying to act cool, but it's obvious he's a little stung. And just when it looks like the scene is over, Aristine grabs Rue's hand too. Then, without a word, she places both of their hands into each other's. Yup. She ships them into a reluctant truce. She's not going to let anyone mistake them for political rivals. These two are important to her. The guys freeze, completely speechless. While they awkwardly hold each other's hand, Aristine walks away. They're left behind, stunned. And then, of course, they start arguing again. Meanwhile, Aristine walks back toward her palace. There's a glimmer of relief in her expression. The vision, no matter how horrifying, at least clarified one thing. The king barely touched his meal. And yet, he suddenly collapsed with his hand pressed to his sternum, which could only mean one thing. It wasn't her poison. After witnessing the king collapse in her monarch's sight, Aristine wastes no time. She dives straight into researching poisons. Her own poison is clear and scentless, something nobles favor since it's hard to detect. But it leaves behind a telltale sign: black marks. That's why it's called Black Rose. The king, though? He started with indigestion, not even close to the symptoms of Black Rose. Aristine sits there, thinking hard. She needs something, anything, that proves her innocence. All they have against her is the fact that she owns a poison. That's it. She remembers what Tarquin told her. No political faction would ever try to kill the king. And the queen's reaction back then? It didn't feel fake. It felt too real to be an act. So now she has a theory. Maybe whoever's behind this knows she has poison. But they don't know which kind. She replays the memory in her mind. The king clutching his chest, struggling. Not signs of poisoning by her vial. But what poison causes that? Unfortunately, she doesn't have the expertise to figure it out. She needs help. And there's only one person she can think of: Umir. She heads to her drawer and grabs the key, unlocking the place where she stored the poison. There it is, still untouched. So yeah, someone's clearly trying to frame her. And she has a pretty strong suspicion Sylvanus spies are still crawling around. Just as she's about to leave her room, she hears a voice. Tarquin is standing there, sulking, asking if that sly bastard, Rue, is really her friend. Aristine answers right away. Yes, she says, without hesitation. Tarquin clearly doesn't take that well. He asks what's so great about someone like Rue, calling him a snake and seeming genuinely irritated. He even mutters how he couldn't believe Aristine would say she likes Rue, and eventually tells her not to get too close to him. Though he tries to sound casual, the jealousy is too obvious to miss. Aristine blinks at him, surprised. She didn't mean to make him feel this way. All she wanted was for Tarquin and Rue to get along. But now, seeing the way he acts, it's clear. Tarquin is jealous. She starts wondering if she's been a little too cold lately. Maybe Tarquin thinks her feelings are fading. The thought leaves a pang of guilt. She walks up to him and gently asks him to lean closer. Tarquin blinks, confused by the request. When he does, she whispers something in his ear that makes his eyes go wide in shock. Then she smiles, sweetly telling him she's heading off to see Umir, before walking away like nothing happened. Tarkan just stands there, stunned, face heating up, completely caught in her spell. Umir's warning from the other day echoes faintly in his head. Something about being too possessive and paranoid. But in that moment, all he can think about is Aristine's whispered words, that she's looking forward to tonight. He mutters it under his breath, face burning red. Then he smacks the wall next to him and ends up breaking it. This woman is going to be the death of him. Later, Aristine arrives at Umir's clinic. The place is buzzing with activity. Everyone's busy getting ready for the incoming monster horde. Which reminds her, Tarkan's going on a hunt soon. Her mind spirals. What if she ends up standing trial for assassinating the king while her husband is away fighting monsters? That'd be literally the worst-case scenario. But then Umir spots her and practically lights up with excitement, looking utterly honored to have Aristine visit her. Aristine politely apologizes for showing up unannounced, but Umir brushes it off easily. With a warm expression, Aristine explains that she isn't here as a princess. It's a personal request. Umir's mind, however, instantly runs wild, taking her words in a completely different direction. Seeing that, Aristine tells her not to joke around, looking a bit flustered. They move to a private room for a more serious conversation. Aristine asks if Umir could secretly connect her with a royal physician. Umir agrees almost instantly, saying that her lips are only for kissing Aristine's hands, with a wink to match. Aristine feels a little heavy asking for such a big favor, but Umir just shrugs, telling her that she likes her, so of course she'll help. Aristine blushes. She hadn't expected this kind of loyalty. Umir even got angry for her before. And now she's helping her again, no strings attached. Feeling a bit shy, Aristine softly admits that she feels comfortable around Umir, like with a friend. Umir is briefly surprised, but then smiles wide, saying it's the greatest honor to be considered a friend by Aristine. Aristine hesitates for a second, wondering if that was inappropriate to say. But Umir quickly assures her it isn't. Rank might separate them technically, but friendship doesn't care about that. She tells Aristine that she's been through all sorts of relationships with Tarkan. Commander, subordinate, rival, friend. So she asks plainly, would Aristine really choose a stiff, formal dynamic over a friend who happens to be a fabulous doctor? Aristine's face turns red again. She admits she's wanted to be friends with Umir all this time. Umir lights up and says she feels the same. Aristine stares at her, eyes sparkling. Could this be what a real friendship feels like? She thinks of Rue, too. Another friend, even if he's from a rival camp. And now Umir. The world suddenly feels less lonely. Like any new besties would, they start chatting excitedly. Aristine brings up a cafe she's always wanted to visit with a girlfriend. They start planning a proper girls' date. For the first time, Aristine feels like she truly belongs somewhere. That night, back in her room, Aristine finds herself in Tarkan's arms. His hand is wrapped around her waist, fingers intertwining with hers. Their faces grow warm. Their lips inch closer. And she knows. She's let her guard down. It all circles back to that quiet whisper Aristine gave Tarkan that morning. Her soft words about looking forward to tonight. But the night he imagined turns out to be slightly different. There's a book open on the bed about hair braiding, a hand mirror, a bundle of hair ties, and combs of all shapes. Aristine, already seated comfortably on the bed, pats her thigh gently with one hand while handing a comb with the other. An unmistakable invitation for Tarkan to lay his head down. He approaches, confused, clearly caught off guard. Apparently, the tonight he had in mind and the one Aristine planned are not quite the same. With those big, soft eyes of hers, Aristine explains how she's always dreamed of being the kind of couple that spends time together before sleep. Little domestic things that feel intimate. So of course, Tarkan obliges. He lays his head on her lap, and she begins brushing his hair in slow, gentle strokes. Her touch is light but filled with affection. As the strands flow through her fingers, she begins to speak. She tells him how relieved she feels lately, especially after bonding with Umir. It's the first time in a while she's felt like someone's truly on her side. Tarkin listens quietly, but there's a slight heaviness in his silence. He's not upset, but she can sense his unease. Maybe it's concern, maybe even doubt. He worries whether Umir and Umir truly see her as a friend, or if there's something more complicated behind it. Still, Aristine chooses to focus on the moment. She treasures this time with him. The softness of his hair, the rhythm of their breaths, the warmth of their closeness. And by the look on Tarkin's face, eyes closed and mouth curved in the faintest smile, he's savoring it too. But then a memory flashes. Her voice saying that she liked Rue too. That familiar name. Umir's nickname. His eyes open, his expression shifts, and suddenly he lifts himself off her lap. Aristine blinks, surprised. Tarkin, more serious now, brings up something he's clearly been holding back. He confirms a small detail, that Ari isn't her real name, just something he started calling her long ago. Then, after a pause, he gently asks her not to let anyone else call her that. Only him. Aristine doesn't answer right away. She's a little taken aback. Not because of the request, but because she realizes how long he must have kept that bottled inside. Tarkin has always been easy to sulk. But this is different. He's been patient, holding it in. That alone makes her heart ache a little. She wants to take him seriously. She really does. But when she looks at him, earnest, serious, and sitting there with a ridiculously large pink bow she must have slipped into his hair without him noticing, she starts to tremble from trying to hold back her laughter. And then she loses it. Laughter bursts out from her chest before she can stop it. Tarkin stares in confusion, only realizing the pink bow when he touches his head. Flustered, he quickly takes it off, ears turning red. Aristine scoots closer, resting her head against his chest. Her fingers find his, playing with them gently as she calls him adorable in a soft murmur. Tarkin freezes. Adorable? That word hits him like lightning. In the next moment, he's already hovering over her. Her breath catches, the comb slipping from her hand. Heat blooms across her cheeks as he kisses her. Fierce, longing, like he's starved for her. She can't tell if it's her heat or his that's making her dizzy. But just before things go further, Aristine places a hand on his chest and gently pushes him back. Her voice is small but firm. Only him. Only her one and only husband is allowed to call her Ari. Then she turns away, face flushed, covering her lips with her hand. They both know what would happen if this continued. But tonight isn't the night. They made a promise. They have to attend the banquet early tomorrow. Tarkin, now sweaty and clearly struggling, turns to head for the couch. But Aristine stops him. She doesn't want to sleep without her favorite pillow, his chest. Later, as they lie together under the sheets, the room grows quiet. The stillness makes space for Aristine's thoughts to drift. No matter how much she tries, the fear won't leave her. She's done everything she could to prevent the king's death. But if something goes wrong, she could be blamed. She could lose Tarkin. She opens her eyes and finds him already watching her. The fear lingers in her chest, but the moment their eyes meet, it softens. His warmth reaches her even without words, and somehow, she feels like she'll be okay. Half asleep, Aristine whispers something barely audible. Something about protecting both Tarkin and the king. Tarkin blinks, surprised. This tiny woman curled up beside him wants to protect them both. He brushes her hair slowly, watching her fall asleep. She never stops surprising him. Morning comes, the day of the banquet. Aristine, now dressed in royal elegance, stands with poise, but her eyes betray a hint of unease. Today is the day the king is fated to die, or so the monarch's sight foretold. She and Tarkin prepare early, sticking to their plan to arrive before anyone else. Aristine's thoughts race as she recalls the vision. The king looked pale from the very beginning. That's why her first hypothesis was that the poisoning happened before the banquet even began. Just to be safe, she had asked Umir to examine the king in secret before the event. The king hadn't expected her, of course, but Umir carried out her task with grace and ease. If anyone could detect poison, it was her. And yet, she found nothing. At least, nothing conclusive. Aristine watched carefully as Umir remained calm. Too calm. That's when a second possibility took root in her mind. The poison may be administered during the banquet itself. They arrived early for a reason. To observe, to catch anything out of place. But then, something catches her off guard. A voice. Familiar. Too familiar. She turns and her breath hitches. There he is, a man with striking platinum blonde hair. And beside him, Yenneca, clinging onto him playfully. A chill runs down her spine. She remembers the first time they met. He said his family shouldn't be too close to hers. She hadn't understood it then. But now, looking into those turquoise eyes, so much like the king's, it hits her all at once. That's why she recoiled in her monarch's sight. That's why her gut twisted when she saw him. Her first friend, Rue. He's not just anyone. He's Prince Umir. Aristine recalls the moment she and Umir crossed paths for the second time. He had told her then that their meeting was fate, destined even. As if the universe itself had conspired to bring them together once more, just as he once promised. If they ever met again, they'd become friends. A pact sealed in innocence. But now, reflecting on it, Aristine wonders if it was truly destiny, or an unavoidable collision. He, the first prince. She, the wife of the second. Their reunion was written into the very fabric of palace life. Their eyes meet across the grand hall. Her lips part, barely a whisper. Rue. A name she once trusted, now nothing but a bittersweet illusion. Umir greets her with that familiar, gentle smile. But there's someone else watching. Yenneca. The way Umir looks at Aristine stirs something in her. Suspicion, maybe. Curiosity, perhaps. She makes sure this is their first time meeting, as far as anyone else is concerned. Startled, Aristine pulls herself back together, stiffening with icy calm as she agrees. Yes, it's their first encounter. Umir says nothing. His lips smile, but his eyes remain unreadable. They pass each other in silence, the air tense. Across the room, Stalina and Martin are in quiet conversation, soon joined by Yenneca's enthusiastic greeting. Aristine, already irritable, tightens her jaw as chatter about Umir begins to swirl around them. Tarkin catches the subtle change in Aristine's expression. With every memory of Rue, no, Umir, flooding her mind, Aristine's chest grows tight. Each recollection feels like a sting. She can't believe how naive she had been. But Tarkin is there, grounding her. His hand finds hers, warm and firm. He doesn't blame her. And she, too, has a few things to say. Yet before any words leave her lips, Tarkin gently squeezes her hand, urging her to stay focused on him instead. She nods. The warmth of his touch anchors her back to the present. It's real, solid, something she can hold on to. But even then, a muttered insult escapes her lips. Something about Umir being a foolish gigolo. That earns a barely suppressed laugh from Tarkin, who quickly covers his mouth. Just then, the royal couple enters, and the air shifts. The king admires the chrysanthemums adorning the banquet. The same scene Aristine had seen before. Through the monarch's sight. The king's complexion is pale, unnaturally so. A weight drops in her stomach. She scans the room. Umir's gaze lingers on her again. She notices. She does not flinch. Instead, she asks Tarkin to sit beside her, refusing to let Umir think she's affected. The banquet begins. Plates are filled. Toasts are made. The queen speaks joyfully about welcoming a new family member, but Aristine's attention stays fixed on the king. Pale, quiet, detached. The image from her visions mirrors reality too well. Her mind races. Could it be hypothesis 2? The poisoning during the banquet? or perhaps something else entirely. She raises a glass of wine to her lips, tuning out the praises of Umir's achievements echoing through the hall. He claims modesty, but his eyes slide toward her as if seeking a reaction. She turns away. Let him try. She has more pressing things to handle, like stopping a death. Though in her mind, she briefly imagines hitting him with a brick. It's satisfying, even if only a thought. The queen brings up Umir's marriage prospects. Yenica lights up at the mention. Martin seems caught off guard, just as Aristine had seen. The path still unfolding as foretold. Aristine sharpens her focus, determined not to miss a single detail. Like in her vision, she gently asks the king whether the food isn't to his liking. He hasn't touched a bite. Yenica jumps in, eager to present his favorite dish. Tarkin quietly comments on her constant need for attention, but Aristine doesn't hear it. Her thoughts are locked on the king, his condition, the timing, the signs. Paelamien offers to call the royal physician. The king declines. He believes it's just indigestion. Then it happens. Sweat beads down his temple. His breath shortens. He sways. Aristine rises instantly, rushing toward him. The queen's expression freezes. The king stumbles, but before he can fall, Aristine is there, catching him with trembling arms. He looks up, dazed, seeing her teary face. He tries to say her name, but the sound never makes it out. He collapses. Chaos erupts. Yenica screams. "Poison," she says. Tarkin steps forward, commanding the food to be examined. Aristine holds the king in her arms. He's barely conscious. He whispers that he's fine. She urges him to breathe, slow and deep. The queen calls for the royal physician. But before her voice fades, the physician is already there, as if he'd been waiting for this moment. The king is gently laid down by the staff. The physician barks orders, demanding he be moved to his chambers, and calls for the chief physician. Servants and attendants scurry. The queen is silent, her face unreadable, until she suddenly flares with fury. She demands an investigation into every soul tied to the banquet. Anyone who dares harm Irugo's son will face a punishment worse than death. Her gaze lands on Tarkin and Aristine. No one is above suspicion. Everyone must remain confined to their respective palaces. No one is permitted to leave until the truth is found. It seems excessive. But no one dares object. Yenica weeps against Umir's shoulder. Aristine notes how the queen's eyes never stray from her and Tarkin. With quiet grace, she bows and affirms her trust in the queen's resolve to uncover the truth. The queen promises that justice will fall without mercy. And just like that, fear wraps around the palace like a storm. Tarkin's palace falls silent. An unnatural stillness lingers in the air. On the balcony, Tarkin and Aristine sit side by side, faces heavy with worry. The king remains in critical care. Tarkin wraps an arm around her shoulder, a quiet shelter against the looming dread. Aristine questions herself. Had she truly done everything possible to stop this? Guilt claws at her chest. Tarkin senses her distress. He reaches for her hands, warming her cold fingers. She rests her head against him, voicing her concern in a whisper. Tarkin embraces her gently, reminding her that she's not alone. Then, shouts. A commotion outside. Just as she had foreseen. A guard storms into the palace, forcing his way past a maid. His eyes lock onto Aristine. Fierce. Accusing. And then, his voice cuts through the silence. He declares her under arrest. The vision has come true.